Oh, hiya loves. Thank you for joining me today on my YouTube channel, One Box of Fudge. My name is Paul and I run a fundraiser called One Box of Fudge, and I have created a playlist where I'm cooking through my brand new recipe book, which is called One Book of Fudge, Make Homemade Fudge from the Heart. It's available to buy on Amazon. And yeah, one by one, as I'm making the recipes for orders, I've decided to do a cook along video on my YouTube channel. So if you do like what you see, then please give it a thumbs up, subscribe. If you've got any questions, then leave them in the comments and I'll try and answer any questions. And yeah, the aim is for you to be able to make your own homemade fudge in your own home, in your own kitchen, using your own stuff. So if you want to know what you need what tools you need for making the fudge, then watch one of the earlier videos. What do I need to make fudge? So you've got the exact correct equipment before you start. So today we are going to make Rum Infused Raisin, and this has been one of the biggest sellers on my menu throughout the whole 2.5+ years that I've been doing One Box of Fudge. And the only thing that stops me making this is if it gets too hot, because it's got alcohol in it, it won't set. However, again, as the years have gone by and I've learned how to make fudge and tweaked my recipes, one of the key things that will help you when making rum infused raisin is to soak your raisins in the alcohol. In the early days, I used to measure out what I needed in a bowl and put it in the fridge for 48 hours. Now what I do is I put it in a glass kilner jar, which is labelled with when it's all going to expire on there, and I keep it infusing in the kilner jar, and before I use it I give it a good old shake, and I have found that pretty much guarantees the fudge to set whatever time of year. So yeah, hopefully you've got all your ingredients. So for this recipe you'll need 450 grams of caster sugar, 400 millilitres of double cream, 50 grams of butter, 15 grams of glucose syrup. I use a sachet of Maldon sea salt, but that's just a pinch of salt. And you'll need 100 grams of raisins that have been soaking in 50 millilitres of your favourite rum. So I always use the spice rum because I am a spicy mama, but it's absolutely up to you what rum you want to use. So let's get started. So first of all, you need 450 grams of sugar. I use golden caster sugar and it's Billington's the brand that I use. You can use other brands, but for some reason, don't know why, I've found that this brand makes the best fudge. So I will only ever use this fudge, and if they haven't got Billington's, then I'm not making fudge, love. And it's really strange, but you just get into your little habits, don't you? The next thing you need is 400 millilitres of double cream. Then you'll need your 50 grams of butter. So I use unsalted butter. I guess you could use salted. I wouldn't want to. I have no idea what that would turn out like if you did. So I always use unsalted, and also because I'm adding in salt to balance the sweetness. Yeah, so as I said, I use a sachet of Maldon sea salt, but that's because I'm from Essex, and this is like a nod to my hometown. But really, it's just a pinch of salt. And then also, very importantly, is the glucose syrup. So I get mine from Amazon, and it lasts absolutely friggin' ages because you only need 15 millilitres of glucose syrup. And this is a 1 kilo pot. So do the maths, loves. It lasts absolutely ages. Because I make so much fudge, and because my aim is to raise as much money as I can with my fundraiser, that is why I buy it in bulk, and that pot is about $7.99. If you buy a tube, it's much more expensive. It's about £4-ish for about a 45ml tube. Honestly, it's really expensive. So I get mine from Amazon because I use it for every traditional fudge. So that's your ingredients. The raisins are not going in yet, so they will not go in until the end, but we'll come to that in a bit. So, as always, if you've got a gas hob like I have, then you put it on low and slow. That's always the best way to do fudge, because if you do it high and quickly, it will catch, and you don't want that to happen, loves. So while you're waiting for your ingredients over there to start melting, I measure my raisins out. So what you need is 100 grams of raisins. And again, through practice and tweaking this recipe, I know that that is a really good amount of raisins, so that you've got loads in the fudge, but also so it's not overpowering the fudge, because again, you got to remember, these have been soaking in alcohol. Oh my God, even just doing this, my mouth is watering. I'm not a big drinker, loves, as you probably will know if you follow me. But the smell of spice rum, it's making my mouth water. So that's your 100 grams of rum infused raisins ready for the end. So now this fudge is ready to stir. So it takes about 3 or 4 minutes once you get it on the hob, probably more, 4 or 5 actually, to get to this stage where you can stir all of your fudge ingredients together. But you'll see that block of butter still needs to melt. So you just gently stir it and you leave it again for another few minutes, and then you come back and stir some more. So now, after about 2 minutes more of stirring, that has now all dissolved and your fudge is ready to start heating up. During this part, you do not touch the fudge and you do not stir the fudge. You need to just let it come up to 116 degrees before you then take it off. And that whole time, you do not stir it. If you stir it, it's going to interrupt what's going on here with the sugar crystals, which essentially what's happening is they're liquidizing. And if you stir the fudge while this is happening, it will make it more grainy, and it won't be that really smooth fudge consistency that you'll be after. Right, love, so after about 10 minutes, it's now at 115, but don't take it off. You've got to wait for it to get 116. This is really, really important. Now it's starting to shift up, and I would take it off now. Now set your timer for 5 minutes, and I promise you that's the exact amount of time you need it to cool before you start stirring. So don't forget, if you haven't already lined your tray, before you start stirring, you need to line your tray with baking paper. And I talk all about this in one of the earlier videos. Because you don't want to pour it into a tray that's not lined, loves, because you're not going to be able to get it out. Right, loves, the timer for 5 minutes has gone off. And that sugar thermometer is now reading about 80 degrees. So it's got to be under 100 degrees before you start stirring. But I always wait a full 5 minutes, and then I set my timer for exactly 6 minutes. And what I've learned by making thousands and thousands of boxes of fudge is that's the exact time you need. So here are my rum infused raisins, and I add them in at the beginning, and then I start stirring. You might see a rum cloud, as I call it, comes off the fudge. I don't know whether the camera will capture that, but from the minute you add the rum infused raisins to the fudge, a lot of the rum burns off, and this is why I infuse them. And I say in the book, infuse them for a minimum of 48 hours, because otherwise you risk, if it's not fully in the raisins, you risk basically losing a lot of the rum, the spice rum, loves. So that's my tip. So I'll be back in 6 minutes. So this is what it looks like, loves. Already it's starting to get heavy when I'm stirring it. Doesn't take long, and remember, it's not about speed, it's about the consistency of the stirring. Once again, loves, if you're going to get our make, it's going to hit you around the 4 minute mark, because all of a sudden it starts getting heavy, and it's almost like the more fudge you make, the more you can actually tell when it's ready. Because it starts all of a sudden feeling really heavy, and it also starts coming away from the sides of the pan. You can just tell, you can really just tell. And honestly, it's such a good arm workout with such a tasty reward. So you can hear that 6 minute timer's up, loves. So I'm going to give it one last stir for luck, and then I'm going to pour into my tin that has been lined with baking paper. Honestly, this smells so good. Absolutely beautiful. And as I said before, loves, if it's gonna set, what you will get is a clean pan, and you will, I promise you. That's the #1 way you know if it's gonna set or not. And then how I finish a fudge is I sort of swirl across with the top of the wooden spoon. I'll show you what that looks like. And it looks like that. And there you have your rum infused raisin fudge. Now that is going to take you about 3 to 6 hours again to set. Honestly, I don't think I've ever had a fudge take 6 hours. However, I say that because it really varies from 3 hours up. If it's cooler, it's going to set by 3 hours, it will do. But depending on the humidity, the room temperature, the traditional fudge will take longer accordingly. And it's got to set at room temperature. If you put this in the fridge, it's not going to help it set. So it's got to be at room temperature. As you know, I'm a huge fan of these pop-up food covers. I have absolutely loads of them because I make loads of fudge. But you can buy a pack of different sizes on Amazon. And honestly, I use them all the frigging time, because then you can leave them on the side all, for however many hours and them not be attacked by flies, because although there's raisins in this fudge, we don't want any flies in it, love. All right. So yeah, there we go. Rum Infused Raisin Fudge. If you've watched the whole video, you would have made your first batch of this absolutely delicious fudge. If you want to learn how to make other flavours, then buy a copy of my book, loves. It's on Amazon worldwide. It's called One Book of Fudge by Paul Lees. And I share with you my top tips, my recipes, and that's it, love, because that's what happens in a recipe book. So yeah, sending you loads of love. I hope you're having an amazing day. And bye, you loves.